Let's try that. Okay, that works. Weird. It's always something with this system. I didn't even reboot or anything.
That works. Weird. Always something with this system. I didn't even reboot. Always something with this system.
There we go. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Um, there we go. All right. Hopefully you can hear me now. Welcome back to the stream. Let's go back through all that all over again. I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website Tech Interview Guide. We're back with our first stream for 2023. So yeah, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, so I was just explaining how Melaruru was asking about the weather in our area, and it's been a lot nicer lately. But lately, the snow melt on our roof kind of melts out onto our front step, and always turns into ice. So we got to figure out a new solution there. So I'm working on a to-do list of things to do around the house, and that's going to include like let's just break out that whole front step kind of area and make it a little friendlier. That you know, we build like a little mini deck with some gaps in between that if melt water does fall off, it'll like fall into those things instead of staying on the cement slab that we have in front of our front door right now. Because it's always a gamble when we walk outside that front door. Are we gonna like break our neck going out that front door? But anyway, it's good to be back. Thursday we did uh, kind of a little bit different thing. So Thursday nights is going to be our sort of maker time. Had a lot of fun building the little trench run thing over here. You can do exclamation point pew pew in chat, and it'll make those lights blink. It's a little hard to see. It'd be nice if I had like a little mini spotlight shining on it or something like that. So I'll see if I can wire up just a little like light or whatever that you can actually see the trench run a little bit more. But that was a lot of fun to do on Thursdays. There it goes. So that was a lot of fun to do. Um, and so I've got like a bunch more things, like the little BD1 robot here. I've got a light kit for that right here. And that'll make his eyes, light up and things like that. And so I want to do the same kind of thing. I've got lots of those new little Raspberry Pis. They're like $10 or $15 each. Um, but I might actually be able to wire the BD1 into the same Raspberry Pi that's running the trench run and, make his eyes blink or something if you do some other command. So that's the kind of stuff I want to do on Thursdays, but people are always welcome to interrupt me when I'm working on that kind of stuff to ask interview prep stuff. But we're going to dedicate Sundays to be interview prep, career prep, get everybody ready for the week. What kind of jobs are you applying to? Get your resume reviews in, things like that. So you can do exclamation point resume if you want a resume review. I did change up the resume review form. So now instead of being on like a form on the actual techinterview.guide website, it'll take you over to a Google form. And the reason that I changed it over to a Google form is because sometimes people want a private review, sometimes they want a public review. And I only had like one area where you could type in notes about like, what kind of review do you want? What kind of job are you going for? And people were a little bit confused. They were either writing enormous letters in there or they would just write like, I want a review. And then I'd have to contact them. It's like, well, did you want a public review or a private review and so on. And so I've kind of streamlined that for myself a little bit. Got into some automation that when people submit to the Google form, it'll send me an email so that I'm aware that there's new content there to take a look at. Um, and then I can ask different questions based on whether you want a private review or a public review. So I got that set up and that's all ready to go. I've got a whole to-do list of things to kind of do and rebuild, including rebuilding the whole website. So you can do exclamation point to do. And you'll see a link to the Trello board. It's public. I want to be transparent about that. And then for those that checked in on Twitch today, you'll see that we've got the new charity thing set up. And that's using the new Twitch charity donation setup. And the reason that I wanted to do that is we donated a ton of money in 2022. I was really, really thrilled about how much money we were able to raise. So all the money I make as a streamer goes into a pot of money, and I donate all that money, and I also match all that money. So all the money I get from donations, from bits, from doing private resume reviews, from subscriptions, all of that goes into this diversity in tech fundraiser, as I call it. And then people were sending me, just donations over PayPal, which I always appreciated. And then I matched 100% of that money. And then my employer kicked in a bunch of money as well. And so last year we gave away a little bit more than $6,200 to two different organizations to increase diversity in tech. And we're going to be doing the same thing in 2023, but I'm going to be rotating through the different organizations that Twitch makes available so that you can directly donate to those folks, and I'll be able to see not necessarily who is donating, but how much is donated, so I can also do a match on that, and then my employer will also match what I donate up to a limit. Like they won't consistently match, but so the first group that we're going to do is called Unloop. And Unloop is a charitable organization that helps people who have been incarcerated that got out of prison, help them find jobs. And that's something, like you all know me, I love helping people find jobs. And I've been in a position where, as a hiring manager, someone had to be really, really honest with me during an interview and say, hey, I've got a criminal background. This is what happened. And typically in an interview, you don't share that kind of stuff. Like if it comes up on a background check, that's fine. But how that sort of came to be was during the interview, I said, hey, we have to do a background check because of the kinds of clients that we work with. We have government contracts. We have, really high enterprise. This was an energy company that I was working with. Um, and we work with a lot of like power providers like Excel Energy and PG&E in California and so on. And it's like, we have to do a background check. And he's like, okay, well, here's the thing. I have a criminal background. So, like, that's fine if you need to do a background check. I really want the job. But just for transparency, I have a criminal background. And we talked about what it was. And I said, well, if it's something like an assault or a DUI or something like that, we don't care. Like, that's fine. And he's like, well, it was this kind of thing. And I won't go into any more detail than that. But it was something that was going to disqualify him for the kinds of contracts that we had with government agencies and the kinds of power companies that we worked with. And that always really weighed on me because this person was so genuine and really upfront with what happened in their life. And it really kind of stuck with me even to this day. It really stuck with me that I couldn't hire that person. And it felt a little bit unfair. But the thing that Unloop is doing, this group that I want to donate to, is they recognize that just having a criminal background of any kind will disqualify you from a lot of jobs. Like people are just like, oh, criminal background, never mind. It's like, no, like people deserve a second chance. If they've been properly rehabilitated, they deserve a second chance and they deserve to get a job. And in tech, yes, a criminal background of certain types may disqualify you from certain kinds of jobs. Like if you have, and I've said this on the stream in the past, if you have a criminal background of like financial fraud, you're not going to be able to get a tech job at a bank or at a payment company like Stripe or something like that, or maybe getting into fintech. That's going to disqualify you from those kinds of jobs. Um, but if you're working on code that has nothing to do with money, you have no access to any sort of, payment type of system or whatever within the company, then you should still have a shot. In my opinion, you should still have a chance to get that job. And so it's something that I really wanted to promote. And so what I set up with Twitch is we set up a goal of $2,000, which is a lot, and I get that. But I think once we reach that, it's going to rotate over to another charitable group. And so I think once we start getting donations, I think I can't change the donation amount, and so I may lower it a little bit because 2,000 does sound a little high. But the whole idea of diversity in tech is something that's still really important to me. No matter who you are, no matter what your background is, you should be able to get a job in tech, and that's something that I really want to help out with. And so the first recipient that we're going to deal with is called Unloop. The one after that is called STEM to the Future, and it's basically going to help Black and Latino kids get into tech. Um, so the groups in the past that we've targeted, the very first group that we gave money to in 2022 was a group in San Francisco that helped Black communities in the San Francisco area get into tech, and they were kind of a boot camp. The second group was called Girls Dream Code, and it was specifically targeting women in tech. This next one is going to be people with criminal backgrounds, and then we're going to do a kids based one. But I'm trying to find like a different theme. Like I don't want it always to be kids. I don't want it always to be women. I don't want it always to be like Black and Latino people. Like I want to rotate through because believe in diversity, and so we should be reaching diverse groups to kind of donate this money to. But I also go through and I really scrutinize over who these groups are and how they use their money. I found a few that were like, oh, this looks like a really cool group. And I went and I looked up their tax records. And it's like, okay, well, they raised like $300,000, in 2021. It's like, okay, cool. How did they use that money? Well, 85% of that $300,000 paid the salaries of people at that organization. It's like, okay, so they raised $300,000, but you know, they only got like $50,000 to put into whatever the program was that they actually wanted to use that money. And the rest they were just putting into someone else's pocket. And that's not the kind of group that I want to support. I want to support people where like more of that money goes into actually running the program, or sorry, like actually goes into the program as opposed to running the program and paying salaries of people. And yes, that it's like I get it. I'm a business owner myself. You have to pay your staff. I get that. And by business owner, I'm a business of one, but like, you have to use that money wisely. And so I get that. If you've got employees, you have to pay employees. Um, and so I'm not trying to say like if you run a nonprofit, you shouldn't make any money at all. You shouldn't get paid by that nonprofit. But when you raise $300,000 and $150,000 of that goes to like the executive director of that organization, and then another 70, $80,000 goes to a couple of other staff members, that's a lot of money that you took into the organization that's just paying people to do work for the organization, but it's not actually going into the program of what it is you're trying to do. And so that was something that sort of stood out to me as far as like screening who these organizations are. So that's something that I still want to do on a regular basis. I may not have, the big thing across the top here as much, saying, this is how much we've raised, but this is something that I'm still going to be pushing for in 2023. And so I welcome any kind of donations. Like I said, I'll be able to see the amount that people donate. I may not see who is donating. That's fine. I don't need to know that you're donating. If you want to donate anonymously, that's fine too. But at the end of, the quarter or the half year or whatever, I'm going to go through and I'm going to match that donation as well. And then we'll rotate to the next one. So that $2,000 goal, that's also going to include my match. So if $1,000 comes in, I'm going to match that $1,000 and we meet that goal for that organization, then I'll rotate to the next one. And once we rotate over to the second one, which is the STEM to the Future group for Black and Latino kids, then I'm going to, as soon as we roll over to that one, I'm going to find a third one. And then when we raise that money, I'll rotate to that third one and I'll find a fourth one. And I'm just going to keep doing that throughout the year. Now, my employer will match up to $1,500 of whatever I donate. And so we'll figure out how that's going to happen. I may put in, for every $1,000 I donate to a particular group, maybe I'll hit up my employer like, hey, could you do like $300 or $400 or something on top of that? And so hopefully we're always going to like beat that goal. If you raise 1,000, I raise 1,000, that's our $2,000 goal. And then my employer will kick in maybe a few hundred. And so I don't want them to do it all in one shot for one group. I want them to spread it out across all the different groups that we find. So if any of you happen to find a charitable organization that you think would be a good consideration, please contact me and let me know and say, hey, I found this particular group. And I'll go through and I'll chat with them. I'll look over their public tax records and things like that, and try to screen like, yeah, this looks like a legit group to donate our money to. So that's that. The other thing is I want to go through, I want to rebuild the techinterview.guide website. I want to incorporate more of the YouTube videos that I've already got. I need to fix the clip thing that I built for the stream last year. It stopped working. I'm not sure why. But I need to go through and debug why that doesn't work anymore, to start and stop a clip and have it actually, sort of trim out that little mini video, so that when people do drop by the stream and they want to ask questions, that I can, make those short little YouTube videos and get those up on playlists and things like that. So I have to fix that. That might be like a Tuesday stream. And so what I'm thinking is Sunday is going to be interview prep, career prep, resume reviews. Tuesday is going to be like tech interview guide, website, rebuild, revamp, do the programming for things like clips and stuff like that. And then Thursdays is going to be just maker time, just goof around with 3D printing and painting and things like that. The other idea with the Thursday stream with making things is the stuff that I make and the stuff that I build, I want to give away. And so we'll be doing regular giveaways like we've done in the past, where it's like a whole month long kind of thing with the idea of like, we want donations in order to make this happen. And so I'm trying to figure out ways of doing that kind of stuff. But I've got I've gotten some really interesting like pourable resin molds. And I want to get into things like, if I 3D print like these little astronauts or something like that, like I'll give these away. Or if I here's another resin cast. I've got like these tiny little skulls, for example. And this is one where I mixed up some red and some black resins, and it's shiny and glittery and whatever. And I pour it into the little mold, and it's ready to go like a day later. But I've also got like a really big version of that skull, and I got another one which is a dragon head because you all know me, I love my dragons. And so I want to be able to do those kinds of things on a regular basis by remelting failed 3D prints. Like one of my kids right now is going to be in a play for Mary Poppins, and my wife and I are trying to help with props right now. And so we're trying to come up with the idea of like a telescoping broom handle that they can sort of like pull out of the purse and turn into a coat rack because that's part of the movie, it's part of the play. And so I tried 3D printing a coat rack. And I was actually doing this where I had PETG as the coat rack and using PLA as a support material, a support interface, and it comes off really, really nice and really, really clean. The problem is that the PETG wasn't as strong as I wanted, and so it ended up snapping. It ended up being really brittle, um, which was surprising because I would think that PETG would be really strong, but apparently this is not going to be enough to hold a coat. So I was able to just bend it slightly with my hand, and it just snapped. And so I need to melt that down and use it for something else. I could recycle it. I could throw it in the recycle bin and recycle it as PTG, but I want to like melt that down and make like a dragon head mold or a skull or something out of it. Melting it down takes a really long time, takes a lot of energy. And so one thing that I've been exploring is like, how can I just like smash it up into little bits, put the bits into the mold, and then pour resin over that. And so I can do like a clear resin or like a slightly modified resin color with a little bit of glitter or something like that, where you see all these chunks of plastic and be like, this is us reusing the plastic from failed prints and putting those into resin molds. And so those are the kinds of things that I want to give away. And so I also bought some silicone rubber where the things like I can 3D print something, make a silicone cast, and then I can do resin casting on top of that. And so if I 3D print something, I can make a pourable resin mold out of that to reuse to make other things. So those are the kinds of things I want to do as giveaways, is find a way to recycle this plastic on my own to make things to do giveaways and stuff like that. So just because I don't want all this wasted 3D print stuff to go in the trash, because some of it you can't recycle and it's not really compostable. Like PLA does compost, but it takes like 50 years or 100 years, where PTG takes like 1,000 years to kind of break down. And in the meantime, it's turning into all the microplastics that end up washing out to the ocean. Now we got this Texas-sized patch of plastic out in the ocean right now in the middle of the Pacific. That they're trying to go through and scoop all this plastic up and trying to find ways to recycle. So that kind of stuff is kind of on my mind too. Like, how do I reduce the amount of plastic waste that I'm making by doing these 3D prints and so on? And so once a quarter, I want to do the giveaways like we did last year, where we were giving away the dragons and things like that, and the little kit cards and things like that. That was a lot of fun in October. I still want to do those giveaways. I'm probably going to do those on a quarterly basis. And so I'll have like a mix of things. I'll do dragons and little figurines and things like that. And I'll do giveaways for those. And then I also want to revamp a website that I built for my kids to sell 3D printed things. I actually want to build like a small business site out of that, where people can do like on demand things. Like if there's a particular model that you want, I'll print it and I'll send it to you, and you can cover the cost of material and shipping and a little bit of time for print and post processing, things like that. But if it's something where it needs to be painted, like say for example somebody wants a really big Deadpool resin print. This is the one that I used to show on the stream all the time. It's like, I got this little one. Look at this resin print that I made. Well, I made a really big one because I have a big resin printer now. But like, if somebody wanted to buy this and they want it painted, well, that's going to be a Thursday stream. Thursday, I'll get in and I'll show you how I paint and how I post process a print. to make it smooth and do sanding and things like that. Because I want to, I still want to do educational type of stuff. But while I'm painting that, people can still interrupt and ask interview questions and so on. But I want to show like, here's how I go through and I paint things, and then I'll, mail that out to whoever wanted to buy it. So that's going to be more of the Thursday stream. Tuesday, again, is going to be like rebuilding the Tech Interview Guide website, show you about the programming and the automation and stuff that I want to do there. So, Mellaroo still has both the dragons and the teeny tiny dragons. Oh, cool! Those are the little Kelly dragons. Those were a big hit at the festival that we did, the Winter Festival at my kid's school in December. My oldest kid did a little catapult game where the little catapult kit card that we gave away in October. We actually assembled a few of those and put them on a table, and people were trying to fling things into plastic cups that we also 3D printed. And depending on the size of the cup, depended on the size of the prize. So the bigger the cup, the smaller the prize. And the smaller the cup, the bigger the prize. And the big prizes we were giving away were some of those Imperial dragons, the ones that kind of like rear up and stand up. And then we had some of the Magai beer dragons left over as well, and we just gave those things away as the large prizes. And those were a huge hit. People were like, "Can we buy one of those?" And actually got a license from Flexi Factory to sell anything that they make. So if anybody ever wants anything from Flexi Factory, I have access to all their models, and I can print those and sell those. And so that's something that I want to rebuild. And that's going to be a Tuesday night stream kind of thing. Or whenever I feel like, you know what, it's Monday and I'm bored, I'm going to work on that website. I'm going to just stream, what I'm building. Or I need to like go build some automation or something like that. I'll do that as I feel like it kind of stream. But I'm always going to be streaming Sundays and Thursdays. That doesn't change. But I'm going to be adding more and more streams as I have evening time. I've also signed up on another platform for doing mock interviews and resume reviews where people can pay for those kinds of things. And again, those payments are all going to go into the Diversity in Tech fundraiser. And then I'm going to make like a short command for that. So it's a website called meetupro.com. But they don't have a good search feature on there like, hey, go find all the things that Ian does. You have to go in and you have to search for very specific kinds of things in order to find my listings. But if you go on there, meetupro.com, and you search for resume review, you'll, among everybody else that does a resume review, you'll find my entry. So I think what I did on all 4 of my entries is I actually put my Twitch username in there. So if you search for Ian Douglas 736, then you should be able to find just my things on a search. Let me go in and just double check that, and I'll see if I can, because if that works, then I can make like a short link out of that for people. So if I search, 0 results. So it didn't find any of my things. But yeah, if you search for that query, then it finds my mock interviews. Because I wanted to have a way for people to actually do mock interviews as well. So if you go to this link, it'll find my mock interviews. And I'll put these in the YouTube description later on. And resume review. Yeah, it comes up if you search for that. But like in the listing itself, I put my username in there, but it looks like the search form is not doing. It's not actually. It's not using the description in their search. It's only using the title of the thing. But on that website, they also keep a portion of the money. That's why I charge a little bit more for the resume reviews there. But I'm always going to do them for free here on the stream. And so if anybody ever wants a resume review, you can absolutely submit a resume review. You can do !resume. You can also do !help and see all the different commands that I've got set up. I've got a lot of different things set up now. So I'm going to stream for about another 30 to 40 minutes, maybe up to 45 minutes today. And then I got to go because we got a bunch of stuff to get done today. So if anybody wants a resume review, feel free to submit those. And I'll do those today on the stream. But Sunday is going to be interview prep, career prep, doing resume reviews, all that kind of stuff. And then I've also got a new to-do list that I want to kind of incorporate into the stream of like things that I want to get done. And that'll include all the maker kind of stuff as well. And so you can go check out this link. Uh, tig.fyi is a little short URL that I made for Tech Interview Guide. So it's like Tech Interview Guide for your information slash to do. And that'll pull up my to-do list that anybody can go see. I want to make channel point redeems for like, reorganize what's on the to-do list. If you think I should do something sooner than later, then you're welcome to do that. I've also made new channel point redemptions. My One of my kids bought me a dad joke calendar, so if you want like a tearaway dad joke, I'll do those. Um, but yeah, the biggest thing that I want to work on probably on Tuesday is going to be the clip thing where I can like do those clips again. I'm really really close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and so I'm pretty excited about that. And so part of the giveaway thing that I want to do is I want to do a big giveaway when we hit 1,000 users on YouTube. And then I also want to do random giveaways to people who are subscribed to the newsletters. And so anybody that subscribes to the email newsletters, I'm going to draw like just a random person out of that once in a while. But that one's going to be unannounced. That one's just going to be like, hey, I'm going to do a giveaway. And, you know, you'll I'm trying to think of like how to do it on stream where you can all see like, okay, I've randomly found somebody on the general newsletter. I randomly found somebody on the tech interview question newsletter or the behavior question newsletter. And I'm just going to pick a person at random and I'm going to send, have a way to automate sending an email to that person to say, hey, you won the giveaway. You won like an unannounced giveaway. Here's a thing that you get to choose, and give them like a little claim code. So the 3D printing website that I want to make, I want to give them like a claim code that when they put that in, it reduces the price to zero and no shipping cost and whatever. And I can just send them an item. So that's part of what I want to do as part of the giveaway is if you win any of my giveaways, it'll actually go through like my business website, but you'll get like a coupon code that's like a one-time use kind of coupon code that will then give you, it'll reduce the price to zero and shipping cost to zero and all that kind of stuff. So those are the things that I want to build this year. And that'll be part of our giveaway. So if we do a quarterly giveaway, that's March, that gives me the rest of January and February to build all of that. So that's going to be the Tuesday streams if I have time on Tuesdays. If I end up doing mock interviews in the evenings, which is typically when I do mock interviews for sites like interviewing.io, and hopefully I get some business on meetupro.com. If those end up booking my time on Tuesdays, then I won't be streaming. But I'll find ways of doing extra streaming and stuff as we do that. But I wanted a secondary platform besides interviewing.io where I could do mock interviews and help people out, where that it's me. Where interviewing.io, it's kind of a random thing. If you go to interviewing.io, even if you use my referral code for that, you don't know whether you're booking time with me or if it's going to be a complete stranger. The support team there used to say like, oh, if you want to book with a particular interviewer, just let us know and we'll set that up. But they've got enough interviewers now, and with the amount of staff that they have, they're like, yeah, it's not really a feasible thing to do anymore. And they've kind of bounced around the idea of like, should we make a referral code that actually like I want to interview with this specific person? They've kind of gone back and forth on that one. And so I wanted a site like there was another one called HackerPen that I've been debating trying to get set up. But the last time I tried to get to their website, it was offline. So I don't know whether they've decided not to continue that business or what. I'm not sure. But I wanted another platform where people knew that they were booking my time specifically for that, and so I can promote that on the stream. And again, all that money is going into the diversity and tech fundraiser. It's not going into my pocket. And then the interviewing.io money that I get, because that's a pretty regular stream of income. When people want mock interviews, it's reduced a lot with the job market right now, but that money has typically gone into buying Lego kits and 3D printing stuff. And so the interviewing.io money is typically like the money that I use to match the donations and to buy things to give away, buy the filament to do the giveaways and pay for the shipping for the giveaways and things like that. But the meetupro.com, if anybody books my time on there for mock interviews or resume reviews, that money is going to go into the diversity and tech fundraiser. And so that's specifically going to be sort of earmarked by me as the donation match money. Other than that, if I don't make enough on those mock interviews and whatever from that other platform, it's going to come out of some money that I set aside for donations and things like that. Um, so yeah, so lots of sort of initiatives for 2023. The job market has definitely cooled down a little bit. It's going to be a lot trickier to get through interview processes and so on again. But we're still hearing about junior devs finding jobs, which is really encouraging. We're still seeing folks from 100 devs finding jobs. Leon just did a really long, like a Zoom call, I think, with Leah, who streams here on Twitch as well, and did a big interview about what she went through as far as like getting through 100 devs and doing her job search and things like that. And so it's really encouraging to hear that people who are going through programs like 100 devs or schools like Turing and Galvanize, that they're still finding jobs. So there are still lots of jobs out there. You just have to really understand how to stand out to those companies. And so that's what I want to do on Sundays. So Sunday streams is going to be, all right, you got a job hunt for the week. How are we going to get you through it? What kinds of companies are you researching? Let me help you research those companies. Um, if you got a resume that you want help working on, I'm going to show you how I might revamp your resume and things like that. So these are things that I want to do as more of a demonstration kind of thing on Sundays. I've talked about that in the past, um, where I want to like demonstrate. Okay, I'm not just going to say like, oh, go research a company. I want to show you how to research a company. And I've got notes and stuff like that that you can go find on the website about how to do company research and what that actually means, and how to do that effectively for what's important to you. And I've got a whole workshop that I can do if anybody goes to a school or a code camp or a boot camp or anything like that, and you want me to come give a talk, I'll come give a talk. And again, any money that I get for doing those talks is all going into diversity and tech fundraiser stuff, because again, that's something that I really really care about. So yeah, lots of stuff going on for me as far as like how I want to sort of kick this thing off and make it grow. So I've got about a half hour left to stream. If anybody wants a resume review, absolutely happy to do that. Just let me know that you're going to send over a resume, and I'll get that pulled up, and we'll do a review. I had an automation window somewhere. I can't find it. There it is. So yeah, so if anybody wants to send over a resume for a review, I'm happy to do that. I also set up some automation with Zapier, that when you fill out that Google form, it'll actually send me an email, because it typically won't send an email, but I wanted it to send me an email when somebody sends in a resume. Well, Snable, good to see you as well. Hope your day was fantastic. Just gonna hydrate here for a moment. So yeah, so Fool, we've been chatting about a lot of the stuff that I want to do in 2023. I'm going to be streaming for about another half hour, but I'm going to be doing more streams, and I've got a bunch of 3D design and IoT design work that I need to do for work, like my actual day job at Postman. They want me to build like a little claw machine that like drops down and like grabs a prize. They actually want me to design and build that, and so that's going to be part of my job, and a little project that I'm going to be putting together, that we can actually take that thing around to conferences and be kind of a draw of you know have people actually interact with it using API calls, to actually like move the claw around. We want to do it on live streams and things like that, where like everybody in chat is like, do like bang left or whatever, and it'll like move to the left, and people that do bang right, it'll move to the right. And so it's going to have to figure out, okay, well, I had 10 votes to the left and 5 votes to the right. So I'm going to like average that out, and I'm going to move 5 to the left, kind of thing. And so as people, just stream in chat which direction they want this thing to move, like backward, forward, left and right, up and down, kind of thing, to like grab a prize. So we're going to do that over an API call, or over a series of API calls to actually move this thing around. So I have to design and build all of that. So that's going to be a really neat thing to do. And I'm going to be doing that during the day. And so I'll be streaming that work as well. Um, And so if you ever see me streaming and you see Postman on the screen back here instead of Tech Interview Guide, I'm doing work. I'll be able to answer like the occasional tech interview kind of question, but I'll be mostly like doing my 3D design and coding and things like that. And so what I'm thinking of doing with that, instead of like building it from scratch and trying to do all the engineering from scratch, I actually want to buy like what we call a Core XY 3D printer, where the frame is already built. It's already got all the belts to like move everything around. But a lot of the Core XY is the print plate moves up and down instead of a claw moving up and down. It actually moves the plate, and so I need to figure out how can I reverse that, um, like where the plate is fixed and the whole gantry kind of thing moves up and down. Because most of them, the gantry stays in place and moves like left and right, and then the bed moves down when it's time to do the next level. The bed moves down instead. And so I want it to be the kind where the the print head actually moves, where the bed is fixed in place, and the print head still moves left, right, back and forward, but can also move up and down. Because if I can just buy a 3D printer that already does that, what I'm thinking is my API code will just send the G code to the printer saying move this direction, move that direction, move up and down. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. And instead of moving the actual gantry up and down, actually I could still actually move the gantry up and down to actually go get the whatever the item is. But I also need to figure out how do I modify the tool head to actually be a claw. And that might be like the extruder motor. Instead of extruding out plastic, it'll be the command to actually like um, either do like extrude more filament or do a retraction of the filament to move those gears one way or the other to actually move, the claw mechanism to actually open or close. And so there's going to be a little bit of engineering in there that I'm looking forward to building. But I figure if I can just buy a Core XY printer, that's going to save me most of the work, and there's going to be a lot less for me to design. Then I just have to put some plastic around it and figure out how to. Okay, we got a prize now. How do I like move the thing all the way up and move it over to the corner and like drop the thing? But again, that could just be like send G code to the printer, and so I just need like a little Raspberry Pi where it can listen for these API calls and then send G code to the printer to actually make the movements. And so I want to like go explore some of that stuff. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I'll be streaming during the daytime now as I build that. So once I actually find a suitable 3D printer to do that kind of work on, then I'll be streaming during the daytime for that. But that's going to be, I think, in the long run, it's going to be a lot cheaper to go that route than to go buy all the motors and buy all the aluminum extrusions and buy them at the right size and try to fit them all together and actually build the whole assembly myself. Just buy a printer that's already there and just figure out how do we add this other stuff to an existing printer. Because the other idea is we do a lot of these conferences over around Europe as well. And we want it to be something that we can take to those conferences where I'm not shipping this thing worldwide because it's going to be heavy. It's going to be 40, 50 pounds, and that's going to be really, really expensive to ship and like package up and make sure it's safe and whatever. And so this is probably going to be something that I physically take to these conferences and whatever is the thing. We actually saw it as a thing that Zoom built. They actually engineered the whole thing from scratch. And so that kind of triggered our idea of like, oh, we should do that too. But instead of making it a little app that you play on the phone, you're actually sending API calls to move the thing. That way we can make it interactive on live streams and events and things like that. So it should be fun. Have I seen the FL Sun Super Racer? Nope, but I will definitely check it out. Let me go see what that one is. FL Sun Super Racer. Looks like yeah. Oh, that's a Delta 3D printer. Okay. Um, so what I want to get is something where it's like a wider, deeper kind of thing, as opposed to like those Delta printer print beds are only about this big and they're very, very tall. So I want this to be like longer and deeper than it is deep as far as height goes. So think like a fish tank kind of thing, like a 10-gallon fish tank. It's going to be wider and longer and not as deep. That's kind of the design that I want to go for. So I've actually been watching Etsy or not Etsy, eBay for some Core XY 3D printers, like the Tronxy XY is a Core 3D or like a Core XY 3D printer, and they're only like $300 or $400, and I think I could probably swing that with budget. I need to get like a final budget amount from my management team as far as like how much are we allowed to actually spend on this thing, and then factor in how much is it going to cost to like, buy a hard case for this thing that we can like package it up and like take it around with us to conferences. So I need to also source like a hard shell case or whatever that we can pack this thing, get it on an airplane, kind of thing that we can take around with us. So whatever that hard shell case is, it's got to be something with a handle and wheels or something like that that I can like, wheel it through an airport. And that it's going to be sort of safe and secure enough that we can like take it around to these trade shows and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, if you, is it the Trunksy Core XY printer? I forget what the model is. The X5SA, kind of what I'm looking at. But that one, again, the bed goes up and down, and I'm looking for one where the bed stays in place and the gantry itself moves up and down. That's going to make more sense for that kind of thing. But the only real design that I know that will happen is like a Voron kind of build, and they're definitely not going to go for the budget of building a Voron to do that. Plus, the Voron you have to build from scratch. You have to buy all the parts and do it all from scratch. Where I want to buy like a 3D printer that's like, built and ready to go. It's going to be a lot cheaper and a lot more economical. But if I get the Trunksy X5SA, that bed moves up and down. So I need a way of flipping it. Maybe I flip the thing upside down and like take the bed out completely, put the bed on the top of the printer, and find some way of like, can we flip that thing completely upside down, to where as the bed moves, that's actually the little claw that moves up and down. So something like that actually might work, because that Trunksy printer is actually getting less and less expensive. It's like $250. And if I can buy a used one, then that'll work out pretty good. Because there's one that's like a 400 by 400 machine, which is a really big size, or like a 300 by 300 by 400 kind of machine. And that's kind of the size that I think would make sense for like a little claw machine. Now I've seen claw machines for like $80 to $100, but they're tiny. Like they're only like 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches. I want something that's like bigger, like way bigger than that. But yeah, I think it'll be fun to build that out. So that'll be stuff that I'm going to stream during the daytime. So again, if you ever see me streaming and I've got the Postman logo, I'm actually doing work, but you can always interrupt that kind of stuff. So, but I'll probably start that in February. I got a lot of stuff going on in January for work, but I'll probably do that in February. Make sure to make the package safe for the baggage throwers. Yeah, exactly. That's why I need to get like a hard shell case where everything is packed and like stored really well inside that case. Um, but also not like incredibly heavy. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to spray paint on the thing. This is fragile, but it's also heavy. But also have things like packable foam that I can like pack inside the thing that it's not going to move around. And then I need a way to like quickly calibrate it once I unpack it, have a way to calibrate it and whatever. Um, and then figure out like what kind of prizes are we going to put inside? Like how can we cheaply source, prizes, or do we just ball up like the postman socks? The thing will come down and grab a pair of socks or something like that. But if we do a live stream, where like everybody is like trying to make this thing move, then how do we deal with that prize? Like if we have 100 people in chat and they're all like, move left, move right, move forward, move backward, move up and down or whatever, and they actually draw a prize, we can't send that prize to like 100 people. So we need to figure out like, what do we do with that prize? Do we pick one random person that chatted? Because that's going to require chatbot kind of stuff, which I'm also happy to program. But that'll be during the daytime. That won't be a Tuesday night or Thursday night kind of stream. So Sunday is going to be all interview prep, resume reviews. Thursday is going to be more of the maker stuff, like the little pew pew command. I got BD1 to do. I've got an X-wing fighter, and I've got a light kit coming for that X-wing. So like those kinds of things, I want to rotate around in the background here, and try to find some way of getting those up and running. I know the Death Star trench run is a little hard to see because it's way back here now. I do kind of want to figure out like, is there a way with the pew pew command that I can like put a camera over there, and when you do pew pew, it actually pulls up that camera source or whatever, so you can actually see that thing on camera and see it a little bit closer. But that was really really fun to build on Thursday. So I had a lot of fun putting that thing together. The soldering on it was really not fantastic. Some of the parts actually came apart. Um, so I had to go back in and like resolder some of the connections and actually put shrink wrap on the wires so they won't pull apart. But I went through and I resoldered a lot of the wire connections again. Um, a lot of lessons learned. I'll do it a little bit differently for the BD1 when we do that, but that'll be like another Thursday thing. But I've got all that stuff on my to-do list, and so everybody's welcome to go in and help me reprioritize that to-do list. Um, Trying to find ways of like spending all these channel points that y'all are accruing to do stuff. Um, so yeah, I would also like. I think I've made a channel point redemption to actually suggest other channel point redemptions. Because I'm happy to do like little, the little Obi-Wan Kenobi like hello there, kind of stuff. I'm happy to do those kinds of things. Um, but I'd like to have a more regular uh, like interaction engagement of like what all would you folks like to see on the stream. And so I'm always open to suggestions on things. So hey Wester, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Happy Sunday. Um, Everybody go give Wester a follow. Sarah's a really fun streamer to go watch. Um, Westery one. Does that do the thing? That did not do the thing. Shout out with the username. Does it need to be at Westery one? I think that also did not do what I expected it to do. The shadow command doesn't work. Shout out with the username Westery1. I don't know. I'm trying to shout out, but it doesn't look like it's working. I think I've got my own. Here's my version of the shout out, but the Twitch one doesn't seem to be working. Twitch has been having issues lately too. But yeah, go give Sarah a follow. Sarah's a lot of fun to watch and interact with. You can share bits to her channel and she'll give treats to her dogs. It's always fun seeing Mia and is it Westy now? The new lab called Westy. Um, you can go watch her interact with her pups, and she's also really big into 3D printing as well. So really good human being. Westy, yeah, very cool. So I've got about 15 minutes left to stream, and then I have to take off. I've got like stuff we have to do at a particular time. My wife needs to get to Costco to meet a coworker at Costco. They're like buying stuff for work by a certain time today, and we're down to one vehicle for a couple of days. So we need to coordinate a couple of trips to Costco, and then I got to do like food prep and meal prep and stuff for the week, and then other stuff around the house that I got to do. Um, they're all in trouble today. Oh no. Hopefully, is Westy still in like chewing mode where they like chew everything they find? That was a rough period of time with Riker for sure. Riker did not like the fact that well, I brought him home mid January, and this was in early 2020. We brought him home like mid January, but we didn't go remote at my work until like early March. And so for most of January and February, I would get up, I would walk him, play with him, and then I would leave for work and he would just throw a tantrum all day and like chew everything in sight until I got home. And he was perfectly behaved as long as I was home. But as soon as I left the house, he would start like eating the furniture, like literally eating furniture. Um, we have this leather ottoman in our den upstairs, and he basically chewed all the leather off of two sides of it, like just completely destroyed. But only when I was out of the house. As soon as I was home, he'd be home. He'd be curled up around my feet, or and he'd be perfectly behaved. Um, but it took a long time. And then once I was remote, he's been fine. Buy him his toys, and he's fine chewing on his toys. But they knocked a bleach bottle off the sink. Oh no! Oh no! Tie-dyed lump of clothing. That's no fun. Yikes! That's. I mean, hopefully they didn't like try to eat it or anything like that. or like eat the bleach stuff, because that would be pretty foul for sure. But yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back streaming. I did take a number of weeks off. I took several weeks off in December, and then most of the first week of January was just kind of planning out like what do I want to do for 2023. So we've got the new charitable groups that we want to donate to throughout the year. Again, the first one is going to be for people who have criminal backgrounds. It's a company called Unloop. Um, and I took a look at what they do, took a look at their board. Like I go through and I like evaluate who these companies are. I don't just give my money to anybody. Um, it's a legit company, and they're helping people with criminal backgrounds find jobs. And so I've set this up now in a way with Twitch that you can donate directly. I'll be able to see when donations come in. And I want to do like little like yay sort of like confetti things when I see donations come in. I gotta like set all that stuff up on StreamerBot, and have some kind of progress bar up here that we can see that. And then when that goal gets met, then I'll match that money. And so we want to raise $2,000. So when the community raises 1,000, I'll match the 1,000. That'll be our $2,000 goal, and then we'll rotate on to the second group, which is called STEM for the Future, and that's going to bring technology and education to Black and Latino kids. And so it's going to focus on kids, and then we'll rotate and we'll find another group. So once we roll over, so my idea is we're always going to have one active group that we're raising money for, and then one on standby. So when we meet that goal, we can rotate over to the next one. And so as soon as we rotate over to STEM for the Future, I'll go find a third one. And when we meet that goal, I'll find a fourth one. And I'm just going to keep doing that as long as we need to get these donations in for the whole idea of diversity in tech. And so it's not going to be like a 6 month, go raise money for a single group over 6 months. It's just going to be however long it takes to raise that $1,000, and then we'll rotate over to the next group. And then, like I said, my employer will also match a certain amount of money. And so I want them to sort of match like a couple $100 here and there, and not just all in one lump to one group. Unless we find a group where it's like, oh yeah, we definitely want this one to get more money, um, and we can talk about that. Like once people start donating, I can increase the goal, but I can't decrease the goal once people start donating. So, but I didn't want to make the goal too small. Like I didn't want it to look like, oh, we're only raising $1,000 for a particular group. I wanted to make it look like, okay, we're raising $2,000 because half the money that's being raised is coming out of my pocket. But my pocket is like the money that I make as a streamer. So like I said, I'm like really, really close to getting to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Once I do that, I can unlock advertising on YouTube and make more money on that. And again, that's all going into that pot of money to help do those matches. So lots of initiatives for 2023. I rebuilt the resume submission form for people that want resume reviews. And then I also want to keep working on the fourth newsletter, which is the preparation of what kinds of projects should I be building, how do I prepare, how do I study, things like that. I've got a lot of the content kind of written. Some of it is just text transcripts of YouTube videos that I've made around how do you prepare to do interviews. But I want to go through, and those interviews are going to be like company research and what kinds of projects to build and things like that. It won't be so much about like how to build a resume. I mean, I think there's like 2 messages about resumes and one about cover letters. And then it's going to be like, okay, how do I research companies? And there's going to be like a handful of messages about that. And then kind of walk you through the whole kind of thing there. And then what I want to rebuild for the website is the same kind of thing. Like, where are you in your job search? And then depending on where you are, you're going to have different chapters to read, and also kind of link in these YouTube videos that I've been recording, the little clips and things like that people can actually watch advice on, here's advice on how to do company research. Here's advice on how to build that cover letter. And so if you're applying for jobs and you're not getting a phone call, it's something about your application. So here's a bunch of information that you need to know about how you can apply, how you can stand out. If you're getting that first phone call, but you're not making it onto the tech interview, then it's something about how you're doing your HR interaction and maybe answering a couple of behavioral questions. So here's some resources around that. So I want to rebuild and kind of redo the whole tech interview guide website around that theme of like, where are you in your journey? And then let's help you get past that bump. And then from there, like see what kind of progress you make. So that'll be fun. I think that's going to be, and so again, if I've got time on Tuesday nights is going to be like rebuilding the website Thursday is going to be my maker time where I'm doing like 3D printing and post processing and things like that. And then again, as I show you, like, hey, see all these little bumps down here? Here's how I sand them off. I've got these little sanding sticks, and like I'm actually going to get in there and show you how I post process or how I would paint a model, and how to do like weathering techniques to make it look aged or look older or look, if you're doing like prop kind of stuff for cosplay, like how do you make things look grungy and dirty or rusty and things like that just with paint. Or, I've actually got 3D filament, which is an iron fill in it where you can actually like put salt water on it and it'll literally rust the filament. So like those kinds of things, I want to show how to do that kind of stuff. That's going to be more Thursday. Or, like the trench run thing here. If you do bang, pew, pew, you'll hear a little Darth Vader thing, but you'll see the lights on the thing like actually blink like it's like firing the thing, which was a lot of fun to put together. Um, I want to I want to show that off. Oh, someone else did it. So that's pretty fun. And again, on another Thursday night, I want to do the BD1 robot that we see over here on the desk as well. We've got a light kit for that one to set up. And so we'll do something similar. It might be like exclamation point BD1 or something, and have the lights on that one blink and like maybe play some little droid sounds. But then as I do other things like show you how to do resin casting and things like that, or how I'm gonna melt, failed prints. So Sarah was showing off like I was trying to do a broom handle coat rack, because one of my kids is in a Mary Poppins production at school. So I wanted to 3D print a coat rack that she pulls out of her handbag or whatever, and we found a telescoping broom handle. And so we wanted that to kind of fit under a desk where they can like sort of reach into the bag and pull this thing out, and someone else would be under the desk holding onto the thing that it'll actually telescope the broom handle. But turns out PTG is a little more brittle than I thought it was going to be. It's like really easy to snap, and so there's no way they were actually going to be able to use this as a coat rack. So I'm trying to think of how to redesign this, because I can't make it too big, otherwise it won't fit in the bag. But if I make it too small, it ends up being really flimsy. And so how do I rebuild that? And so this was basically like somebody else's model of like the broom handle portion, and then I found a thing on Tinkercad, which is actually the coat rack, and I figured out how to model those together. And so that's the kind of thing I want to do on Thursday, is like show you how I might redesign that thing, or like, you know, in this case, I might have to build it out of wood and put hinges on it that when they pull it out, it's going to be all together. And then as they pull it out, the hinges will just kind of fall open and maybe lock in place. And then that'll be like their thing. But then how do I attach that on a broom handle? We need some way of like getting that on the broom handle, that they can just reach in and pull this thing out. And as they pull it out, the things will just fall open. And then, it'll actually be a workable coat rack at that point. So I might find a way of doing that with like just some lightweight pine and a couple of little hinges or something like that. So I want to like design that kind of stuff out. That's going to be more of a Thursday stream. So Thursday is going to be more maker time. Sunday is always going to be interview prep, career prep, resume reviews. So if you do bang resume, you'll see how to get to the new form to submit a resume for resume reviews. And then having guests on the stream for interview advice and talk about their background in tech, that's going to be on Sundays. Tuesdays, if I'm not doing mock interviews, Tuesday is going to be more like show you how I'm rebuilding the website, and you'll actually be able to watch me work on that and the automation tools and things like that that I do around building up that website and going and finding the right YouTube videos for which pages and things like that. So I'm going to be doing that on Tuesdays if I'm not doing mock interviews. And then during the daytime, if you see me streaming, if I've got the Postman logo up here, I'm actually doing stuff for work, but that's where I want to go find a 3D printer, like a Core XY 3D printer, and actually build that claw machine where I can build an API where an API command of like left, right, forward, backward, up, down actually sends G code to the printer to actually move the print head around as the claw machine. And then also, like, I kind of want to put a camera on the claw itself, that if you do like bang camera, it'll like pull up a little camera view of like what the camera looks at. So you can see like, oh, I'm actually right over top of the microphone now. So I'm going to come down and like grab the microphone. So that way you can kind of help aim it a little bit. I think that kind of stuff would be fun. So have an API command to like turn the camera on just for like 2 or 3 seconds and then turn the camera back off. So you only have a moment to kind of glimpse like, where are we, which direction we actually need to go. I think that kind of stuff could be really, really fun to build. So I'll be doing that during the daytime. and you'll get to see me watch me like go through the 3D design of how am I going to tear this printer apart and like build it for what we need it to be, how to actually engineer the little claw, to use the extruder motor to actually open and close the claw, things like that. So it should be fun to build. So that'll be during the daytime. So if you see me streaming during the day and you see the Postman logo, I'm actually doing the work stuff, and it'll be the 3D printer, like actually building out the claw machine. That's going to be more February, because January I got a ton of stuff coming up already, for work, but that's going to be like my February project. So yeah, cool. Well, I'm gonna hop offline. Sarah, I don't know if you're gonna stream today, but if you're gonna stream, we'll raid over to your channel. So let me know in chat if you're gonna be streaming. But I do need to hop offline in the next like 5 minutes or less. And so another thing that I've got on my to-do list is how do I find somebody to go raid? So one of the things that I want to do on the stream is I've got this regular recurring shout out that you see happening over here. Like there's one over in chat right here. It's like Ian's a supporter of people doing 100 devs, so go watch Old Coder Chick. So I've got tech channels and 3D printer channels and things like that. So depending on whether it's a Sunday stream or a Thursday stream, I want to like have like an automatic raid thing. Like go look through all of the people that I follow as makers, or go follow all the people that I follow as tech. Go see if any of them are streaming right now, and then just go like, we're gonna do the raid command. Like Ian suggests that we go raid this person, and have it do like a rotation or something. So you won't be streaming till later. Okay, no worries. Mecha Builds is a Lego guy who's on. Yeah, so on Sundays, again, because it's interviewing and tech based, I want to find somebody who's doing coding on Sundays. Thursdays will be like I'll raid into like a maker of some sort. So Lana Lux is online doing game dev. Milky Dev is online. Chris Nova's doing some Rust Go gRPC. Ooh, gRPC. We'll go right over to Chris Nova. Cool. I'm gonna set up that raid, and we'll head over there. So I'll probably be streaming Tuesday night. Right now, I don't have a Tuesday night mock interview to do. And so Tuesday, I'll probably get into rebuilding the website and sort of planning out what I want the new journey of the website to be. And then I'm just gonna, yeah, I mean, the beauty of doing like web programming and things like that is I don't have to build the whole website and deploy it all at once. I can just do it as is and like just start rebuilding and reorganizing and moving things around. I do need to pay attention to my SEO and see which pages are currently getting a lot of traffic and make sure that I have redirects set up that if I move things around too much that people trying to go to the old link can still redirect to the new one, things like that. So cool. We're going to raid over to Chris Nova. Be friendly over there if you can. Wait, did that even work? That didn't work. Like none of my commands are working. Like when I try and do a raid command, it doesn't actually set up a raid. That's weird. The shadow command didn't work. The raid command didn't work. Is Twitch broken again? Let me try and pull up a different window and see if I can get that working. Okay, there we go. So it worked in that window, but not this other window. So, all right. Well, we'll go right over to Chris Nova, working on some code stuff. We'll see everybody over there. I'm gonna hang out for just a quick minute, but then I gotta bail. So it'll be a raid and run. But we'll catch you probably Tuesday night. I'll be streaming again. So come by and do some pew pew, and we'll catch everybody then. Thanks for hanging out. See you.